Hi, welcome to our channel Good New. The Plaza Accord, signed by the United States and Japan in the 1980s, not only caused massive losses to Japan's economy, but it also delayed Japan's technological development for 30 years. The semiconductor industry is the most unfortunate of these. Japan's strength in the semiconductor field was once comparable to that of the United States, at least in the last century. Now that we are in the 21st century, and the world is running out of cores, Japan has re-emphasized the development and advancement of its own semiconductors. In terms of chip production and foundry, Japan has graciously invited TSMC to build a factory in Japan on multiple occasions. Japan has not only fulfilled its wish, but also has new information. When TSMC discovered that the United States did not provide subsidies to American factories, it decided to build factories in Japan. The decision to build a factory in Japan had to be profitable for TSMC. So, what are the benefits of establishing a chip factory in Japan? According to some relevant media, building a factory in Japan means moving away from the United States. Is this truly the case? The TSMC Japan factory was officially opened. TSMC announced its intention to build a factory in Japan in October of last year. It's been nearly a year since TSMC announced its intention to build a factory in Japan, and there has finally been significant progress. On April 21, it was announced that the Japanese Advanced Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, a joint venture between TSMC and Sony, had begun construction. This new Japanese factory is expected to be completed in September 2023, with an official shipment date of December 2024. Except for the previous disclosure, the chips produced by this Japanese fab are not particularly high-end. In addition to the announced production of 22nm and 28nm mature process chips, it is stated that 12nm and 16nm FinFET, an advanced packaging process, will be used to strengthen Japan Advanced Semiconductor Manufacturing Company's semiconductor strength. So, given how big the world is and how many countries there are, why did TSMC choose a small island country like Japan for its global layout? What are the benefits of TSMC establishing a semiconductor manufacturing facility in Japan? The benefits of establishing a semiconductor factory in Japan are numerous. According to a February 24 report in the Nihon Keizai Shimbun, the Semiconductor Manufacturing Plant Investment Subsidy Law passed by Japan at the end of last year was officially implemented on March 1 this year, and the subsidy amount was as high as 600 billion yen. Among them, Japan promised TSMC last year that it would increase subsidies for TSMC's Japanese factories by up to 400 billion yen. With such high investment subsidies as Japan, TSMC will undoubtedly choose to build factories in Japan. Furthermore, the Japan Semiconductor Equipment Association released the most recent statistics on November 25 of last year. In October of last year, sales of Japanese semiconductor equipment reached 271.904 billion yen, a 49.1% increase year-on-year. This is the 10th year in a row. It maintained its momentum in March, exceeding 10% growth for the 8th consecutive month, the largest increase since July 2017. Sales of semiconductor equipment in Japan reached 2,491.804 billion yen in the first 10 months of last year, a 31.9% increase year-on-year. Japan's current high demand for semiconductor equipment may result in a massive semiconductor consumer market. Establishing a semiconductor factory in Japan does not necessarily imply that you cannot get close to the water, nor that you will be able to win Japan's massive semiconductor consumption more quickly and economically. Market. In short, establishing a semiconductor factory in Japan has its own advantages, and it brings many benefits to TSMC. So, how will TSMC's deployment of semiconductor factories in Japan affect Japan? What effect will TSMC's successful construction have on Japan? To begin with, according to the Nikkei Chinese website, Japan's Honda announced on September 17 last year that due to a chip shortage, production of automobiles in domestic Japanese factories from August to September will be reduced by 60% compared to the original plan. In early October of last year, the price will be reduced by approximately 30%. Today, TSMC may not be able to solve the shortage of domestic chips in Japan, nor will it be able to promote the development and progress of related industries in Japan if it goes to Japan to build a mature chip factory. With the development and progress of these related industries, Japan may not be able to reap significant economic benefits. Second, SUMCO, a Japanese semiconductor company, announced on September 30 last year that it would invest 228.7 billion yen to increase its own wafer production capacity. Fujifilm said it will invest 4.5 billion yen in its own factory in Shizuoka Prefecture over the next 3 years to increase its own chip production capacity. TSMC is now re-entering the market and establishing factories in Japan. It may not be able to increase Japanese chip production capacity further, allowing Japan to gain more market share and strengthen its market influence in the global environment of core shortages. Today, TSMC's decision to locate this chip factory in Japan is a mutually beneficial and win-win international collaboration. However, some relevant foreign media believe that when the US asked TSMC to expand its American factory, TSMC not only refused, but instead went to Japan to build a factory as if it were working against the US, which is increasingly distant from the US. Is the establishment of a factory in Japan truly indicative of TSMC's increasing distance from the United States? In fact, TSMC's establishment of a factory in Japan does not imply that the company is moving away from the United States. First, while TSMC's Japanese factory primarily produces low-end chip manufacturing processes ranging from 22 nanometers to 28 nanometers, the basic layout in the United States is all of the chips listed above are high-end. Consider the Arizona factory that is currently under construction. This American facility also manufactures a high-end 5 nanometers process. Second, TSMC intends to construct a factory in Japan. At the moment, there is no indication of increased investment or factory expansion in Japan. The treatment of TSMC's American factory, on the other hand, is distinct. Although it has not stated that it will increase production, in the case of insufficient construction funds, TSMC must borrow money to build, demonstrating the level of attention. According to Reuters, TSMC announced a letter of intent for investment on April 20, preparing to issue $3.5 billion in bonds for its Arizona factory, raising a total of $3.5 billion just to build the factory. This demonstrates that, while TSMC is constructing a new factory in Japan, the current focus of TSMC's development remains in the United States. As a result, a new factory in Japan manufacturing low-end and mid-range chips does not imply that TSMC is increasingly ionizing the United States. Farther, to summarize, TSMC's new factory in Japan officially began construction on April 21, in my opinion. TSMC has two perspectives on its global layout and the expansion of its US factories. However, this does not imply that TSMC is drifting further away from the United States. After all, so far, TSMC has witnessed Huawei's past. Under the threat of US sanctions, I am afraid that TSMC has not and will not move further away from the US. Thanks for having your watching in this video. You can add your ideas or suggestions below. Please keep following our channel and like our videos.